Thank you, Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Ministers, Assistant Ministers, and Members of Parliament. Honourable Speaker, I rise today to address this Honourable House on the recent imposition of new tariffs by the United States government. I will provide an overview of the evolving situation, our government's proactive response, the strategic steps we are undertaking to safeguard the interests of our exporters, uphold the livelihoods of our people, and preserve the integrity of our bilateral trade ties whilst broadening out further trade relations. Honourable Speaker, on the 3rd of April 2025, the President of the United States declared a national emergency in response to ongoing trade imbalances, with the U.S. trade deficit reaching $1.2 trillion in 2024. As part of this declaration, a tariff policy was announced through an executive order introducing a baseline tariff of 10% on all imports into the U.S. effective from 5th of April 2025. Additionally, Honourable Speaker, 57 countries were identified as having significant trade surpluses with the U.S. and were subjected to higher individualized tariffs ranging from 11% to 50%, which was to take effect from 10th April 2025. Fiji was included in this group, Honourable Speaker, and was assigned a tariff of 32% on its exports to the U.S. However, on 10th of April 2025, the U.S. administration then subsequently announced that a 90-day suspension of tariffs beyond the baseline of 10% applies to all countries, including Fiji. So currently, Honourable Speaker, the tariff rate imposed on Fiji is 10%. This means that for the next 90 days, Honourable Speaker, our exports to the U.S. will only be subject to the baseline tariff of 10%. The suspension will conclude on the 9th of July 2025, after which the original tariff structure will be reinstated unless further actions are taken. Honourable Speaker, the U.S. has been Fiji's #1 export destination, accounting for approximately 20% of all goods exported. In 2024, the total value of Fiji's exports to the U.S. stood at $439.08 million, while imports from the U.S. amounted to $425.03 million, resulting in a trade surplus of $62.7 million for Fiji. Some of Fiji's major exports, as we know, include bottled water, kava, turmeric, cane, sugarcane, seafood, fish, high-quality mahogany, and smaller quantities of various agricultural products such as taro, ginger, and a variety of high value-added, fast-moving products, consumer goods. These products are highly regarded in the U.S. market, and their presence reflects the diverse nature of products that Fiji offers. What is particularly important to emphasize, Honourable Speaker, is the complementary nature of these exports. Fiji products do not compete with U.S. goods. Rather, they complement them. This means that rather than facing direct competition, Fiji goods are filling a niche in the U.S. market, offering American consumers a broader range of high-quality options. Honourable Speaker, behind these exports are thousands of livelihoods in Fiji. Over 18,000 smallholder farmers rely on the kava industry. More than 5,000 farmers depend on ginger, turmeric, and skincare value chains, and approximately 11,000 farmers are engaged in the sugarcane industry. A recent survey conducted by our Trade Commission in North America in response to the proposed tariffs found that for some of our businesses, particularly those in fresh turmeric, kava, ginger, and skincare, the United States represents 100% of their total export market. In fact, around 70% of our key exporters derive 60% of their revenue from the US market alone. These statistics, Honorable Speaker, emphasize just how critical the US market is to the success of the Fijian exporters and, by extension, the livelihoods of thousands of Fijian families. Honorable Speaker, Fiji, of course, is not just an exporter to the US. We are also a growing active importer of American goods, with significant potential to deepen this trade relationship further. The economic reality is that Fiji lacks the production capabilities or scale of industrial capacity like the US. As such, we rely on high-quality American goods, technology, and components to support our domestic industries and everyday needs. In 2024, Fiji imported from the US, as mentioned, 425 million, covering a wide range of sectors. These include machinery, electrical and electronic equipment, vehicles, aircraft parts, and other transport-related equipment. Imports also comprised of pharmaceutical products and medical instruments, food and agricultural products, chemical inputs, along with textiles, footwear, and apparel, demonstrating the breadth and depth of American exports that support Fiji. Many of these US exports already enjoy duty-free or low-duty entry into the Fijian market. I would like also to highlight that approximately 72% of all US goods imported into Fiji enter duty-free. For the remaining imports, tariff rates are generally low and facilitative. About 25% of US goods are subject to a modest 5% duty, while only a small portion, around 3%, Honorable Speaker, face high duties ranging from 15 to 32%. In fact, Honorable Speaker, on a weighted average basis, the average tariff on US imports stands at a 1.8%. And of course, if one looks at Fiji's exports, or in other words, the US imports from Fiji in proportion to total USA imports, which amounted to 4.1 trillion in 2024, our proportion is merely 0.0001%. As such, Honorable Speaker, whilst the position of the People's Coalition is that we understand the desire of the US to impose tariffs, we seek proportionality, fairness, and reasonableness. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry has not been resting on its laurels, but has acted swiftly and tactically in response to the developments. Our response has been measured, strategic, and coordinated, aimed at minimizing potential disruptions to our exporters. As part of our diplomatic outreach, the Ministry immediately reached out to the US Ambassador to Fiji, Her Excellency Marie DeMoe, on the 14th of April, 2025. This meeting allowed us to raise our concerns directly with the US mission at the earliest stage and seeking an audience with the US trade representatives as a matter of urgency. The USTR, Honorable Speaker, is the US agency that is responsible for USA's international trade, commodity, and direct investment policies and negotiations. At the meeting with Her Excellency, we focused on attempting to gain a clearer understanding of the intention and underlying rationale behind the proposed tariffs. The discussions were held in the spirit of partnership with a view to preserving the momentum in our bilateral relations over several years, but clearly articulating the adverse implications of tariffs on the Fiji economy and our exporters, most of which we know are our hard-working farmers in Fiji. Following this, the hard-working trade team led by the Permanent Secretary engaged swiftly in meetings with senior officials at the office of the USTR. Over the last 2 years, Honorable Speaker, we have been cultivating some strong relations with USTR, and this has helped greatly as we sought an urgent meeting with the ambassador of the USTR. Last Wednesday, Honorable Speaker, the 16th of April, 2025, a high-level meeting occurred between myself and the United Nations Trade Representative Ambassador, His Excellency Jameson Greer. The meeting was positive, with both sides reaffirming the long-standing Fiji-US relationship and expressing a commitment to deepening trade cooperation. Ambassador Greer acknowledged Fiji as a good faith trading partner and has proposed several areas of cooperation. We have both agreed to task the senior officials to advance technical discussions and maintain momentum towards a mutually beneficial outcome. The senior officials' negotiations are expected to occur soon, Honorable Speaker, and I am confident that we should be able to agree on a way forward well before the 90-day window closes. Honorable Speaker, to ensure that our discussions and responses are grounded in the lived realities of our exporters, the Ministry, through its Trade Commission in America, undertook a targeted survey to assess the potential impact of tariffs. This outreach involved Fijian exporters across the diverse industries and sectors, including agriculture, food and beverage, skincare, and fisheries. The objective was to capture both immediate and long-term effects on their operations, market access, supply chains, and relationships with smallholder farmers who are integral to Fiji's export economy. The findings drawn from the written submissions and follow-up conversations have provided critical insight into sector-specific vulnerabilities and are helping shape an evidence-based strategy and our case to the USTR. In addition, sir, we also have engaged with some of our very close regional partners, in particular Australia and New Zealand, in terms of furthering the tariff discussions. Honorable Speaker, in order to finalize discussions, we are working closely as well with the Biosecurity Authority of Fiji and the Fiji Revenue and Customs Service in preparation for upcoming negotiations. And finally, Honorable Speaker, well before the tariff action, Fiji has been progressively broadening its trade relations in the last 24 months with all its development partners. The approval of the IPA with the European Union, the Interim Economic Partnership Agreement, will provide access to the EU market under global sourcing provisions. We are also reopening discussions. We have reopened discussions with PESA Plus, Honorable Speaker, and more recently, discussions are underway on a regional economic partnership agreement with the UAE, which are just a few of the examples that we are working on at the moment, including, Honorable Speaker, potential membership at APEC. Honorable Speaker, the government will spare no effort in ensuring that the interests of Fiji and its exporters, many of whom are micro, small, and medium enterprises, are protected, supported, and empowered so they continue to thrive. I urge honorable members of this House on both sides to stand in solidarity with our farmers, exporters, and support government in its ongoing efforts to engage the United States in good faith with a shared aim of securing a fair and enduring outcome for our people. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.